They mocked her faded jeans and beat-up pickup, sneering, "Charity case over dinner," until her brother's new girlfriend glanced up and asked about the yacht dogged in Monaco. The table went silent. What unfolded next left them all stunned. My Jeep Wrangler shuddered to a stop in the shadow of my parents' Napa Valley mansion, its engine coughing like it knew the night was about to choke me. The dashboard clock blinked 7:02 p.m., and my phone vibrated with a text that made my blood run cold. "We know who you are. Tonight you pay." No sender, no number, just those words, sharp as a blade. My hands tightened on the steering wheel, knuckles white as I stared at the glowing screen. I'd built a $6 billion 0-cents cybersecurity empire, Nexus Vault, from nothing but code and grit. But this wasn't a hacker's taunt or a corporate rival's jab. This felt personal, deadly. The mansion loomed ahead, all glass and stone, a monument to my family's obsession with status. The driveway was a showroom of wealth. My sister Sophia's Bentley, her fiancé Marcus's Ferrari, my parents' Rolls-Royce gleaming under the floodlights. My Jeep, with its chipped paint and 200,000 miles, looked like a stray dog among pedigrees. I could already hear Sophia's laugh, that tinkling sound she'd perfected for Instagram, slicing through my practical navy sweater and scuffed boots. "Elena, darling, when are you going to try?" she'd say, her 7-carat emerald ring catching the chandelier light. My parents, Victoria and Charles Harper, would nod, their smiles tight, embarrassed by their freelance coder daughter who refused to play their game. They didn't know I was worth more than everyone in that house combined. They didn't know I was walking into a trap. I killed the engine and checked my rearview mirror, half expecting a shadow to lunge from the vineyard rows behind me. Nothing, just the rustle of grapevines in the Napa breeze. But my gut churned. 2 hours ago, on the winding road from San Francisco, my brakes had felt spongy, the Jeep lurching dangerously close to a cliff. I'd pulled over, heart hammering, and found the brake line sliced clean. Sabotage, not where. Someone had wanted me dead before I even reached this dinner. Now this text. I shoved my phone into my bag, my smartwatch pulsing with an encrypted alert from Nexus Vault's servers. Anomaly detected. Potential breach attempt. Great! My company was under attack. My life was on the line, and I had to face a family who thought I was a failure. Welcome to my Thursday night. I stepped out, the gravel crunching under my boots, and adjusted my sweater. It was quality wool, understated like everything I owned. I didn't need a Birkin bag or Louboutins to feel secure. My security came from knowing my code protected 40% of the world's cloud infrastructure. Hospitals, governments, banks. Nexus Vault wasn't just a company, it was a fortress I'd built from a college dorm room at MIT, born from the data breaches I'd uncovered as an intern at a tech giant. But to my family, I was just Elena, the oddball who'd rather tinker with computers than sip rosé at their winery galas. They didn't know I'd flown to Davos last month on a private jet, or that my net worth could buy their mansion 10 times over. I'd kept it that way for a reason. Wealth changed people, and the Harpers were already insufferable. The mansion's double doors glowed with warm light, but the air felt heavy, like the calm before a storm. I took a deep breath, my fingers brushing the concealed panic button on my watch, a Nexus Vault prototype that could summon my security team in minutes. If whoever sent that text was inside, I'd be ready. I pressed the doorbell, the chime echoing like a warning bell. Showtime. My mother Victoria opened the door, her blonde hair swept into an elegant chignon, her Chanel dress screaming Napa Elite. "Elena, darling," she said, air-kissing my cheeks, her perfume a cloud of jasmine and judgment. Her eyes flicked over my outfit, and I saw the familiar flicker of disappointment. "You're late. Everyone's in the living room. Come meet Marcus. I followed her through the foyer, past a marble staircase and a gallery of family photos that conveniently skipped my MIT graduation. The living room was a cathedral of wealth. Vaulted ceilings, a roaring fireplace, and a view of the vineyards stretching into the dusk. My father, Charles, stood at the bar, pouring scotch with the precision of a man who'd turned his winery investments into a Napa dynasty. Sophia lounged on a velvet sofa, her blonde hair cascading over a silk dress, her engagement ring a green supernova. Beside her sat Marcus Langston, tall and sharp in a tailored suit, his dark eyes locking onto me with an intensity that felt like a scanner. "Elena!" Sophia leapt up, her smile as curated as her 500,000 Instagram followers. "Meet my fiancé, Marcus Langston." She emphasized his last name like it was a brand, and I supposed it was. Langston Capital was a hedge fund heavyweight. Marcus stood, extending a hand, his grip firm, but his smile warm. "A pleasure, Elena," he said, his voice smooth as the scotch in his glass. "Sophia's told me so much about you." "All good, I hope," I said, forcing a smile. Sophia's version of me was probably a caricature, the frumpy sister who lived in a San Francisco shoebox and dabbled in coding. I wondered what Marcus knew. His firm tracked tech startups. Had he heard of Nexus Vault? Or was he fishing? "Scotch, Elena?" my father asked, already pouring himself a second glass. His gray hair was slicked back, his face tanned from golfing with Napa's elite. "White wine, please, Dad." I needed something to steady my nerves. The threatening text replayed in my mind, and I scanned the room for clues. Sophia's laugh? Too performative. Marcus's questions? Too pointed. My parents' smiles? Too practiced. Someone here wasn't what they seemed. Sophia flashed her ring in my direction, the emerald catching the firelight. "Have you seen it? 7 carats, custom cut, platinum band. Marcus has impeccable taste." "It's stunning," I said, meaning it. Sophia deserved happiness, even if her version of it came with a price tag. "Congratulations to you both." Marcus nodded, his eyes still on me. "Thank you. Sophia says you're in tech. What do you do exactly?" Before I could answer, Sophia cut in, her laugh sharp. "Oh, Elena does some coding thing. Freelance, right? Nothing as exciting as managing billion-dollar portfolios, honey." She squeezed Marcus's arm, her nails manicured to perfection. "Tech's fascinating," Marcus countered, his tone earnest. "My firm's been diving into cybersecurity lately. Ever hear of Nexus Vault?" My heart skipped. He knew, or he suspected. I kept my face neutral, years of boardroom poker faces kicking in. Sounds familiar. Big player in data protection, right? "Very big," Marcus said, his eyes narrowing slightly. "They're disrupting the whole industry." I sipped my wine, the glass cool against my palm, and felt a wave of dizziness. Not nerves, something else. My vision blurred at the edges, and my watch buzzed. Heart rate elevated. Possible toxin detected. The wine. I set the glass down, my mind racing. Someone had poisoned it, and they were in this room. "Elena, you okay?" my mother asked, her voice laced with concern that didn't reach her eyes. "You look pale." "Just a long day," I lied, forcing a smile. "I needed to get to the bathroom, test the wine, and figure out who wanted me dead. Excuse me for a moment." I slipped out, my boots silent on the hardwood, and locked myself in the guest bathroom. My watch's sensor, a Nexus Vault prototype, confirmed it. Trace amounts of a neurotoxin, slow-acting but lethal. I splashed water on my face, my reflection pale in the mirror. The brake lines, the text, now this. Someone wasn't just threatening me, they were executing a plan. But who? A rival CEO? A hacker group I'd thwarted? Or? My stomach twisted. Someone closer? I pulled a portable spectrometer from my bag, another Nexus Vault gadget, and tested the wine I'd poured into a vial. Positive for a synthetic compound used in black market assassinations. My phone buzzed again. Breach attempt escalated. Server lockdown initiated. Nexus Vault was under cyber attack, synchronized with the physical threats. This wasn't a coincidence. I sent an encrypted SOS to my security team. Napa Valley. Immediate extraction if no check-in by 10 p.m. Back in the living room, the mood had shifted. Sophia was regaling everyone with tales of her Paris fashion shoot. But Marcus's eyes followed me, calculating. My father handed me a fresh glass of wine, and I pretended to sip, my trust in this room evaporating. "Dinner's ready," my mother announced, ushering us to the dining room. The table was a masterpiece: crystal glasses, gold-rimmed china, a centerpiece of orchids that probably cost more than my Jeep. I took my seat, opposite Sophia and Marcus, my parents at the ends. Under my plate I found a folded note, the handwriting sharp and unfamiliar. "Transfer $50 million, 0 cents to the account below by midnight, or Nexus Vault's source code goes public." My pulse spiked. Blackmail, on top of attempted murder. I slipped the note into my pocket, my face a mask. "Elena, you're so quiet," Sophia said, her smile saccharine. "Still tinkering with your little computer projects?" "Something like that," I said, cutting my salad with deliberate calm. The blackmail note burned in my pocket, and the toxin's after effects made my hands tremble. I needed to stay sharp, but the room felt like a tightening noose. "Sophia's campaign is going viral," my father said, beaming. 10 million views on her last post. That's real impact. "Coding's impactful too," Marcus said, his tone neutral, but his eyes locked on me. "Nexus Vault, for example, they just secured a Pentagon contract, massive deal." The room stilled. My mother's fork paused mid-air. Sophia's smile faltered. My father frowned, confused. "Pentagon? Elena, you're not mixed up in that, are you?" I forced a laugh, my mind screaming. Marcus knew too much. Was he the one behind the text, the poison, the note? Or was he baiting me to see how I'd react? "Just a freelancer, Dad. No Pentagon for me." But Marcus wasn't letting it go. "Come on, Elena. You're too modest. I saw you at Davos last month, boarding a Gulfstream, tail number registered to Nexus Vault." The air sucked out of the room. Sophia's eyes widened, her ringed hand gripping Marcus's arm. My mother gasped, her wineglass tilting. My father's face went slack, then red. "A private jet?" he sputtered. "Elena, what the hell is he talking about?" I opened my mouth, but my phone vibrated with an encrypted call. My deputy Claire, her voice tight. "Elena, we've got a mole. Someone's leaking our encryption keys. The servers are under siege." I stood, my chair scraping, and excused myself to the hallway, my heart pounding. Corporate espionage? Synchronized with the threats here, the mole could be anyone, even someone at this table. I stepped onto the patio, the Napa night cool against my skin, and answered Claire. "Lock down everything, full audit. No one accesses the core until I'm back." As I spoke, I saw a shadow move in the gardens, a figure in black darting behind a hedge. I froze, my watch's panic button a heartbeat away. The stalker was real, and they were here. I ended the call and slipped back inside, my eyes scanning the dining room. Sophia was whispering furiously to Marcus, her face pale. My mother was dabbing at a wine spill, her hands shaking. My father stared at me like I was a stranger. And Marcus? He was watching me, his smile gone, replaced by something colder. "Elena," he said, leaning forward, "why don't you tell us the truth? You're not just a coder. You're Nexus Vault's founder, aren't you?" The question was a grenade, and it detonated in silence. I could lie, keep playing the underdog, but the threats, the break lines, the poison, the note, the stalker, were closing in. Someone in this room, or just outside it, wanted me dead. And if I didn't take control now, I might not walk out of this mansion alive. I straightened, my voice steady despite the chaos in my chest. Yes, I'm Nexus Vault's founder. The company's worth $6 billion, 0 cents, and I've been hiding it from all of you. Sophia's gasp was a knife. My mother's wineglass shattered on the floor. My father's face twisted, shock morphing into anger. And Marcus? He just nodded, like he'd known all along. The room erupted. Sophia stood, her chair toppling. "You lied to us. You let us think you were nothing, while you were, what, laughing at us?" Her voice cracked, tears smearing her mascara. "I didn't lie," I said, my voice low but firm. "I told you I worked in tech. You never asked what I did. You mocked my car, my clothes, my life. Why would I share my success with people who pitied me?" My father slammed his fist on the table. "We're your family, Elena. You don't hide something like this. Are you my family?" I shot back, years of resentment boiling over. "Because tonight, you laughed at my Jeep, called my job a hobby, and suggested I need a man to fix me. That's not family, that's judgment." My mother reached for me, her voice trembling. "We were concerned, darling. We wanted you to be successful." "Concerned?" I laughed, bitter. "You were embarrassed." "Embarrassed? That I didn't fit your Napa fantasy. I built a company that protects the world's data, and you never once asked me about it." Marcus raised a hand, his voice calm but cutting. "Elena's right. You dismissed her. But I'm curious, how does a freelancer afford a Gulfstream? Unless you're more than just the founder. You're the architect, aren't you? The one who wrote the core code?" His words were a spotlight, and I felt exposed. He knew too much, and I didn't trust him. But before I could respond, my watch buzzed again. Perimeter breach, unknown vehicle approaching. My security team was minutes away, but the stalker, or worse, was already here. I stood, my voice cold. "This conversation's over. I'm leaving." Sophia grabbed my arm, her nails digging in. "You don't get to drop this bomb and walk away. You humiliated me, Elena. I thought you needed me, and you were, what? A billionaire?" I yanked my arm free, my patience gone. "You chose to pity me, Sophia. I never asked for it." As I turned, a crash echoed from the foyer, glass shattering, followed by footsteps, heavy, deliberate. My heart stopped. The mansion's security system wailed, red lights flashing. Someone was inside. "Stay here," I said, my voice sharp, and sprinted to the foyer. The front door hung open, shards of glass glittering on the marble. A figure in black stood at the edge of the driveway, holding something. A device? Blinking red? A detonator? A signal jammer? I didn't wait to find out. I hit my panic button, my security team's ETA now 5 minutes. I ran back to the dining room, where my family was frozen, their faces pale. "We need to move, now." "What's happening?" my mother whimpered, clutching my father's arm. "Someone's here," I said, my voice low. "And they're not friendly." Marcus stood, his hand sliding to his jacket pocket. A gun? A phone? I couldn't tell, but his calm was unnerving. Elena, what have you gotten us into? Me? I snapped. This is about Nexus Vault. Someone wants my company. Or my head. Sophia's scream cut through the tension. This is your fault. Your stupid company. Enough! I shouted, grabbing her arm and pulling her toward the kitchen, the safest exit. My parents followed, my father muttering about calling the police, my mother sobbing. Marcus brought up the rear, his silence louder than the alarms. In the kitchen, I barred the door and checked my phone. Security team 2 minutes out. But the blinking device outside haunted me. If it was a bomb, we were sitting ducks. If it was a jammer, my team might not get my signal. I needed a plan, and I needed it now. Elena, Marcus said, his voice low, if this is about Nexus Vault, you need to tell me everything. Who's after you? I met his eyes, searching for deceit. Why do you care? You're not family. I'm invested, he said, his tone cryptic. Langston Capital has stakes in cybersecurity. If Nexus Vault falls, we lose billions. So that was it. Money, not loyalty. Or was it? His hand was still in his pocket and I didn't trust him, but I didn't have a choice. Fine, I said, my voice steady. But if we survive this, you're telling me what you know. Deal? He nodded, and for a moment I believed him. Then the kitchen window exploded, glass raining down, and a canister rolled across the floor, hissing smoke. Gas. My family screamed, and I grabbed a dish towel, pressing it to my face. The stalker wasn't just here. They were coming for blood. I don't know how we made it to the wine cellar, but there we were, crouched behind oak barrels, the air thick with dust and fear. The gas had driven us downstairs, the mansion's alarms a distant wail. My security team was seconds away, but seconds felt like years. Sophia was sobbing, her dress torn, her ring glinting in the dim light. My mother clung to my father, who was muttering about lawsuits. Marcus stood by the door, his phone out, texting someone. I didn't like it. Elena, he whispered. Your team's here. They've got the perimeter. How do you know? I hissed, my hand on my watch, ready to send another SOS. I have contacts, he said, his eyes meeting mine. You're not the only one with secrets. Before I could press him, the cellar door rattled, a heavy thud echoing. Someone was trying to get in. I grabbed a bottle of Cabernet, the closest thing to a weapon, and motioned for my family to stay quiet. Sophia's sobs choked off, her eyes wide with terror. My father's face was gray, his bravado gone. My mother's prayers were a soft murmur. And Marcus, he was too calm, like he'd seen this before. The door burst open, but it wasn't the stalker. It was my security chief, Alex, his tactical gear glinting in the flashlight beam. Alina, we've got the intruder. Let's move. We stumbled out, Alex's team sweeping the mansion, their radios crackling. The intruder, a man in black, face masked, was cuffed in the foyer, the blinking device now in a containment box. Not a bomb, Alex confirmed, but a signal jammer, designed to cut my comms. The gas was non-lethal, meant to flush us out. This wasn't a kill mission, it was a warning. As my family was escorted to safety, I pulled Alex aside. Who is he? No ID yet, Alex said, his jaw tight. But he had this. He handed me a burner phone, its screen showing a single message. Nexus Vault falls, or you do. I looked at my family, huddled in the driveway, their faces a mix of shock and betrayal. Sophia's eyes burned with resentment, my mother's with confusion, my father's with anger. Marcus stood apart, his phone still in hand, his expression unreadable. This wasn't over. The text, the break lines, the poison, the blackmail, the gas, they were pieces of a puzzle, and the picture was still forming. Someone wanted Nexus Vault, and they were willing to tear my life apart to get it. Was it a rival? A hacker? Marcus? Or, my chest tightened, someone wearing my family's face. As the police arrived, their lights painting the mansion red and blue, I climbed into my Jeep, the engine roaring to life. I had a company to save, a traitor to find, and a family to confront. But first, I needed answers. And I'd start with Marcus Langston. The Napa Valley night pressed against me like a living thing, thick with the scent of grapevines and menace. I stood in the mansion's kitchen, my family's terrified faces lit by the flickering emergency lights, the alarms screaming a warning that echoed in my bones. The gas canister's smoke still lingered in the air, a bitter reminder of the intruder who'd breached our sanctuary. My security chief, Alex, had cuffed the masked figure in the foyer, but the burner phone he'd carried its message stark. Nexus Vault falls, or you do? Told me this was far from over. My watch buzzed with another alert. Server breach attempt intensified. Critical systems at risk. My company, Nexus Vault, the $6 billion zero-cent cybersecurity fortress I'd built, was under siege, and so was I. The brake lines on my Jeep, the poisoned wine, the blackmail note under my plate, the signal jammer outside. They weren't random. They were a coordinated assault, and the mastermind was closer than I wanted to admit. Sophia clung to Marcus, her emerald ring glinting like a beacon of her curated life, her mascara-streaked face a stark contrast to her Instagram perfection. My mother, Victoria, gripped my father's arm, her Chanel dress rumpled, her prayers barely audible over the alarms. Charles, my father, stood rigid, his face a mask of fury and confusion, still reeling from Marcus's bombshell. I wasn't just Alina, the disappointing coder. I was the architect of Nexus Vault, a billionaire who'd hidden her empire from them all. Marcus, the hedge fund mogul with too many questions, watched me with an intensity that made my skin crawl. His hand hovered near his jacket pocket, and I still didn't know if he was ally or enemy. "We can't stay here," I said, my voice cutting through the chaos. "Alex's team has the intruder, but there could be more." "More?" Sophia's voice was a shriek, her blue eyes wild. "Elena, what have you done? This is your fault." "Enough, Sophia," I snapped, my patience frayed to breaking. "Someone tried to gas us, and I'm the only one with a plan. Move." I led them toward the wine cellar, the mansion's safest room, its thick walls and smart lock a fortress within a fortress. My boots echoed on the hardwood, each step a countdown. Alex's team was sweeping the grounds, but the jammer had cut my comms, and my security extraction was delayed. We reached the cellar door, a heavy oak slab with a digital panel, and I punched in the code. The lock clicked, and we piled inside. The air cool and heavy with the scent of oak barrels and aged. "Stay low," I ordered, barring the door behind us. The cellar was a maze of racks, shadows dancing in the dim LED lights. Sophia collapsed onto a crate, sobbing. My mother knelt beside her, whispering comforts, while my father paced, his Scotch-fueled bravado crumbling. Marcus leaned against a barrel, his phone out, texting again. I didn't like it. "Elena," he said, his voice low, "we need to talk. If Nexus Vault's the target, you're not safe here." "No kidding," I muttered, checking my watch. The toxin from the wine still lingered in my system, a faint dizziness clouding my edges. The blackmail note. Transfer $50 million, 0 cents, or your source code goes public. Burned in my pocket. And now my deputy, Claire, had texted, Board meeting called. They're questioning your leadership. Possible coup. A mole in my company, a traitor in this house, and a rival CEO's ultimatum in my inbox. Sell Nexus Vault, or I'll ruin you with a scandal. The world was closing in, and I was running out of air. I stepped away, pretending to check the lock, and sent an encrypted message to Claire. Stall the board. Full audit on all execs. Find the mole. As I typed, I noticed Victoria glance at me, her eyes darting away when I mentioned Nexus Vault's Pentagon contract. She'd done that at dinner too, changing the subject with a nervous laugh. What was she hiding? And why did Charles flinch when I'd mentioned the cellar earlier, a memory from years ago flickering in his eyes? Before I could press them, the cellar door's panel beeped, the lock engaging from outside. I lunged for it, but the screen flashed red. Access denied. Someone had overridden the system. My heart sank. We're locked in, I said, my voice steady despite the panic clawing my chest. Locked in, my father roared, storming to the door. This is your fault, Elena. Your damn company. Shut up, Dad, I hissed, my fingers already on my watch, hacking the lock's firmware. Nexus Vault's tech was my domain, and I'd designed failsafes for worse. But the air felt thin, the ventilation system silent. I checked the oxygen sensor on my watch. Levels dropping. 15 minutes until critical. Someone wasn't just trapping us. Sophia's sobs turned to gasps, her hands clutching her throat. We're going to die. Elena, do something. I'm trying, I said, my code racing across the watch's tiny screen. The lock was military grade, but I'd cracked tougher. Sweat beaded on my forehead as the oxygen dwindled, my family's panic a weight on my shoulders. Marcus knelt beside Sophia, his calm unnerving. You've got this, Elena, he said, but his eyes flicked to his phone, a message half hidden. Target secured. Proceed? I froze. My code paused. Was Marcus the traitor? His firm had stakes in cybersecurity. Did he want Nexus Vault's code for profit? Or was he working with the intruder, orchestrating this nightmare? I couldn't confront him now, not with the air running out. I refocused, my fingers flying, and the lock clicked green. The door swung open, fresh air flooding in, but my relief was short-lived. The hallway was empty, the alarm silent. Whoever had locked us in was gone. Or waiting. We need to move, I said, helping Sophia to her feet. Her face was pale, her bravado shattered. My mother clung to my father, who muttered about lawsuits, his denial a shield. Marcus followed, his phone now pocketed, his expression unreadable. I led them to the kitchen, Alex's team securing the mansion. But my watch buzzed again. Tabloid leak confirmed. Story drops at midnight. My wealth, my secret, was about to be splashed across every gossip site, shredding my low-profile strategy. The mole had struck again. Back in the dining room, the shattered wine glass and spilled orchids mocked our earlier facade of civility. I turned to my family, my voice steel. We need to talk. Sophia's eyes blazed, her tears replaced by fury. Talk? You lied to us, Elena. You let us think you were a nobody while you were, what, a billionaire? You mocked us. I didn't mock you, I said, my voice low but sharp. I hid my success because you never cared about me. You laughed at my Jeep, pitied my apartment, called my job a hobby. Why would I share my life with people who dismissed it? Victoria reached for me, her hands trembling. We supported you, darling. We paid for MIT. Support? I laughed, bitter. Support is asking about my work, not suggesting I need a rich husband to fix me. You were embarrassed, Mom. Embarrassed that I didn't fit your Napa dream. Charles slammed his fist on the table, his face red. You deceived us, Elena. We're your family, and you humiliated us. Humiliated you? I shot back, years of resentment erupting. You humiliated me. Every dinner, every holiday, you mocked my choices, my life. I built Nexus Vault to protect the world's data, hospitals, governments, lives, and you never once asked what I did. Marcus did, tonight, for the first time. Marcus nodded, his voice calm but weighted. She's right. You dismissed her. But, Elena, hiding a $6 billion, 0-cents company? That's a lot to keep from family. I met his eyes, searching for deceit. I hid it to protect Nexus Vault from people like you, Marcus. Your firm's been sniffing around cybersecurity. What do you really want? He raised his hands, placating. Just an investor's curiosity. But you're in deep, Elena. Whoever's after you isn't playing games. Sophia stood, her chair scraping, and stormed toward the stairs. I can't do this. You've ruined everything, Elena. Her heels echoed, a door slamming upstairs. I started after her, but Marcus grabbed my arm. Let me, he said, his grip firm. She needs to cool off. No, I said, pulling free. She's my sister. I'll handle it. I climbed the staircase, passing framed photos of Sophia's USC graduation, our parents' winery galas, but none of me. The absence stung, a reminder of my place in this family. At Sophia's old bedroom door, I knocked softly. Sophia, it's me. Can we talk? Go away! Her voice was muffled, broken. I leaned against the door, my exhaustion bone deep. Please, Sophia, 5 minutes, then I'll leave if you want. After a long pause, the door cracked open. Sophia's perfect makeup was a ruin, her eyes red, her silk dress crumpled. What do you want? She demanded, her voice raw. I'm sorry, I said, stepping inside. Her room was a time capsule. Cheerleading trophies, high school photos, pale pink walls she'd chosen at 16, not for hiding my wealth, but for letting it create this wall between us. I didn't want you to see me as a bank account. She laughed, bitter, sitting on her bed. You let me pity you, Elena. I thought I was helping you, offering to style you, introduce you to Marcus's friends. And you were what? Laughing at me? He wasn't laughing, I said, my voice soft. I was protecting myself. You, Mom, Dad, you judged me for my cheap, my loft, my life. I needed to know you valued me for me, not my money. Sophia looked at her ring, twisting it. I didn't think your work mattered. I thought you were... I know, I said, sitting beside her, and I should have told you how that made me feel instead of hiding. But Sophia, when did you last share something real with me? Not a new bag or a trip, but something that matters. She opened her mouth, then closed it, her eyes distant. We stopped being sisters, she whispered. I became the perfect one, and you were the failure. It wasn't true, was it? No, I said, my throat tight. Neither was your perfection. We're both more than their labels. She nodded, tears falling. You really built $1 billion company. 6 billion, I corrected, a small smile breaking through. It started with a college project, securing hospital data. Now we protect 40% of the cloud. It's not about the money, it's about the impact. And the jet? She asked, her voice small. Company asset, I said. For global deals. Practical, not flashy. I still love my Jeep. She laughed, a real laugh, and for a moment we were sisters again. But the moment shattered when my phone buzzed. Rival CEO ultimatum. Sell Nexus Vault by dawn, or fabricated scandal goes viral. The email detailed a fake affair, doctored photos, enough to tank my reputation and my company's trust. I stood, my resolve hardening. "We need to go downstairs," I said. "This isn't over." Sophia nodded, smoothing her dress, and followed me. In the dining room, the tension was a live wire. Victoria was rearranging the centerpiece, a nervous tick. Charles clutched a fresh scotch, his eyes dark. Marcus stood by the window, his phone out again. They turned as we entered, their faces a mix of apprehension and guilt. "I'm done hiding," I said, my voice steady. "Nexus Vault is mine. I built it to protect lives, and I kept it secret because I knew you'd only see the money. But tonight, you mocked me, dismissed me, and someone, maybe in this room, tried to kill me." Victoria gasped, her hand flying to her chest. "Kill you? Elena, that's absurd." "Is it?" I said, pulling the blackmail note from my pocket. This was under my plate. 50 million, or my company's code goes public. My wine was poisoned, my Jeep's brakes were cut, and someone locked us in the cellar to suffocate. You tell me what's absurd. Charles's face paled, his glass trembling. The cellar. That was years ago. I froze. "What happened years ago, Dad? Why do you flinch when I mention it?" He looked away, his jaw tight. Victoria stepped in, her voice shrill. "Nothing happened. You're paranoid, Alina." But I saw it. The fear in her eyes. The same fear when I'd mentioned the Pentagon. They were hiding something, and it was tied to this house, this night. Before I could press, Marcus spoke, his voice calm but edged. "Elena, you're in over your head. Nexus Vault's enemies are powerful. You need allies." "Allies like you," I shot back. "You knew about Davos, the jet. What else do you know, Marcus?" He hesitated, then sighed. "My firm's been tracking Nexus Vault for months. We wanted to invest, but there's chatter. Dark web mostly. Someone's offering a bounty on your code. A big one." My blood ran cold. A bounty. That explained the intruder, the mole, the threats. But Marcus's knowledge was too convenient. Was he playing me? Or was he my only shot at survival? Before I could decide, my watch buzzed. Security breach confirmed. Intruder escaped custody. Alex's voice crackled through. "Elena, he's loose. Black SUV heading your way. Get out now." I grabbed Sophia's arm, pulling her toward the back door. "We're leaving. All of us." But as we reached the driveway, headlights blinded us. A black SUV roaring straight for us. I shoved Sophia out of the way, the vehicle missing us by inches, its tires screeching as it vanished into the night. My family screamed, my heart pounding. The threats were escalating, and I was out of time. Hours later, I sat in my Jeep, parked on a cliff overlooking Napa's vineyards, the mansion a distant glow. Alex's team had secured the grounds, but the intruder was gone, the SUV untraceable. My family was safe, holed up in a hotel, but the rift between us was wider than ever. Sophia's tears, Victoria's denial, Charles's anger, Marcus's secrets. They swirled in my mind, a storm I couldn't escape. The tabloid leak was hours away, the boardroom coup gaining traction, and the rival's ultimatum loomed like a guillotine. But the cellar incident, my parents' fear, it gnawed at me. What had happened in that house, years ago, that they couldn't face? My phone buzzed, a text from Victoria. "We're proud of you, darling. Let's talk soon." It was tentative, awkward, but real. A crack in the wall. I didn't reply, not yet. I needed space, answers, and a plan. A week later, Marcus appeared at my San Francisco loft. A pre-war gem with hardwood floors, tech patents framed on the walls, and a view of the bay. He stood in my living room, his suit sharp, but his eyes tired. "I owe you an apology," he said. "I didn't mean to blow up your life at dinner." "You didn't," I said, pouring coffee. "It was time. But I need to know, Marcus, what's your angle?" He sighed, sitting on my sofa. "Sophia's struggling. She's researching cybersecurity, trying to understand you. Victoria wants you to speak at her charity gala. Charles is reading your white papers. They're trying, Elena, in their messy way." "And you?" I asked, my eyes narrowing. "You're rethinking your engagement, aren't you?" He looked away, his jaw tight. "Sophia's obsessed with status. You're real. It's made me question things." I nodded, unsurprised. My loft, my life, was authentic, not a Napa facade. As we spoke, my phone rang, a crisis call from Claire. A global cyber attack was targeting Nexus Vault's clients, and I handled it with precision, Marcus watching in awe. "You're incredible," he said, and I believed he meant it. That night, I boarded my jet for London, the Napa chaos behind me, but the threats ahead. As we crossed the Atlantic, I reflected on success, not the cars or mansions my family chased, but the impact of my work, the lives I protected. I was free, not from danger, but from needing their validation. My worth was mine, forged in code and courage. As the jet landed, my phone buzzed. "You escaped Napa. London won't be so lucky." The same unknown number, the same chill down my spine. Someone was hunting me, and the game was just beginning. But I was Elena Harper, architect of Nexus Vault, and I didn't run from a fight.